Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harping on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to this week's match at the Aviva Stadium is someone making his 104th pod appearance. Welcome to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan, even.
Welcome to the storm zone. Red warning everywhere. So we're just about through it here in Bray. But yes, hope everyone is safe and well.
Yeah, we had it windy here as well. It never got too bad. Thank God the power didn't go out, but it did for a lot of people around the country. I hope everyone's safe and doing well after the evening that was in it. Okay, so before we get to the preview, Keego, we saw Leinster earn themselves a home draw through the Champions Cup knockouts last week with that win over Bath. How did you see us all together through the pool phase?
Yeah, it's hard to argue when you got those results. It's very rare, when you see where Leinster are, people look back and nitpick. As we said a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe 3 weeks ago at this stage, when you look at what certain teams are doing, Toulouse, for example, they're just operating at this level all the way through in Europe, maybe slightly different in the league over there, but they're at this level. Whereas Leinster are kind of having ups and downs, and I think they're trying to see, can we turn it on when we need to turn it on? And so far in the league and in the cup, that's what's happening. So, like, there are times where the defense sometimes leaks a little bit. First half last weekend against Bath, but then they switch it on and you can see them. Leinster Jitsu kicks in and they just strangle any positive decisions out of the opposition. So look, the record speaks for itself. We can't argue with it. There are things to improve as we move on. This weekend will be a big weekend, but so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a zero-sum game, wasn't it? We were either going to get the top two seed or we weren't, and we did.
Mm.
And that's the way. I mean, we're looking the way Leinster's last few seasons have gone. We're looking at May really, and we have to get ourselves in the best position to get to get the reverse of previous year's results in May and June, and that's what we've done, and we've got it done. We've got Harlequins now again in Croke Park after the Six Nations. All we can do is to play. All those players are going to be playing in the Six Nations. We hope to get them all back and see how it is, evaluate how it is from there. So that's kind of job done on that score. Okay, so now it's time to look at our feature match of the week, which is, of course, Leinster v the DHL Stormers in round 10 of the 24-25 BKT United Rugby Championship. The game is taking place at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, January 25th, kicking off at 5 p.m. TV coverage is on TG Cahir, Premier Sports 1, and URC.tv. Leinster named their matchday squad at lunchtime on Friday. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be right there in the screen. Otherwise, for pod listeners, it's in the program notes. Keego has picked out some points from this Leinster team, starting with some big day for Messrs. Deeney and Turner.
Yeah, and listen, I think the Aviva is going to be packed because the whole of Ireland, the whole of Leinster has spent today in the house with their family and their kids. So I think there'll be a lot of last minute purchases happening. There might be one from this house as well, but no, it's a big day and it's a big day for the team. My second point as well, but I think when you look at who these two are playing beside, we've got Snyman starting and we've got Geordie Bard in there, 12. This is massive for those relatively new players, young players playing with multiple World Cup winners. They're going to learn so much because the Stormers will be aiming at them. Like as we say every week, it's quite clear what the opposition is going to try and do against Leinster. They're going to be aiming in these two positions. We've got a very athletic back row again. Delighted for Scott Penny getting in for a start. But those two players specifically in the second row and in the mid, that's where the Stormers are going to aim for. So it's a big day for the two lads, and it'll go well. They're great players, but it's good to see a bit of pressure put on the entire squad now, and that's what's happening with this selection.
Yeah, I mean, we were expecting a scaled down selection in terms of the leading players because, of course, Ireland going off to camp. Great to see James Lowe and Dan Sheehan, who's going to be skipper for the day.
Yeah.
Great to see them back in the squad. But at the other positions, it was always going to be we were going to need our NIQs. This is the kind of game we got them for. So they're all in there starting. But like you say, it's not just we've got them, but it's the players that are with them as well. And it's a great chance for someone like Turner to play alongside Barrett, Jack Boyle with Slimani in the front row, and of course Deeney with Snyman. So it's good for them. But like you say, your second point is it's about the squad as a whole and the rotation.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we were wondering at the beginning of the season when the frontliners, if you like, could be integrated back in, and then they're integrated out now. So it's a squad situation now for the Six Nations. And as you say, that's why the NIQs are there. But when you look at it all the way through, even the bench that we've depended on quite a bit throughout the year, there's different makeup there in terms of the names. And so again, I don't know if pressure is the right word, because they'll welcome it. All these players will welcome this opportunity. Um, Expectation to keep this momentum going. It's not easy for them to come in off this kind of long winning streak. If it starts falling apart a little bit, people will say, I understand, because um, these relative inexperience. But then if it falls off, these are the players that are going to be blamed. So there's a lot on the line here for this squad, and will be over the next couple of months, which it'll be great to see. And it's great to see the trust that the management team have put in this entire squad, not just the names we recognize.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a unit, this 23. I mean, it's kind of thrown together in many ways. They want to play together. So for especially defensively, systems based is going to be very important for them to gel and play together quickly, because these Stormers have sent a decent side over,
Yep.
and we no matter how many wins we've got going in, we really want to get this is one we particularly would like to beat them. So it's important that they play from the start. Now it's interesting. We've got a 6-2 split bench. We've got Foley and Tector. I presume Tector, he's played in the center, but he can also back up Ross Byrne. One thing I noticed, and I have to double check this, but I think Ross Byrne has actually been in the matchday squad for all of Leinster's matches this season. So it's 9 in the URC, 4 in the Champions Cup. I don't know if that's been done before for any team, let alone Leinster. That's it. That's a big ask for him. But he's definitely able to do it. And even Luke McGrath, very experienced halfback pairing for Leinster there. So there's a lot to talk about in that squad for sure. Okay, so now it's time to have a quick look at the DHL Stormers. The 2022 URC champions currently sit 10th on the table with the game in hand, with 4 wins and 4 losses. In the Champions Cup, they finished bottom of Pool 4, so didn't reach the knockout stage. They also happen to be the only team in the URC that Leinster have never beaten, after 2 defeats in Cape Town and a 22-all draw the one time they previously played in Dublin. What do you make of their lineup, Keego?
Well, that's some intro to that team.
Mm.
No, sorry, the last thing about Leinster, sorry, is these guys would have been training against the system, if you like. They would have been holding the bibs, holding the pad. They would have been watching the system. So it's going to be interesting to see how that switches around. That was just the last point I was going to make on them. But in terms of the Stormers, like, what a time for them to be over here just after Storm Owen or Eamon or whatever it is. And again, when things are not going well for you, you're 4-4, not qualified, all that sort of stuff. I'm almost saying it every week. It's a free shot. They are literally coming over here with a free shot. They look at that squad. They know that some of the names they recognize are not going to be there. They also see Snyman sitting there in the second row, and, like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't drive at him in my car, but it's a free shot. And as we say, they're going to aim at the relative inexperience, or the inexperience beside the World Cup winners, and Slimani there in the front row. The relative inexperience there in the front row. That's where they're going to go. Like, there's a lot of beef there with Sheehan back, with Lowe back. But again, they're going to try and test these people coming back off injury. So if you want to take a shot at Leinster and you've nothing to lose, they don't, like, if it's 5-0 or 55-0, makes no difference to them in terms of how the season is going. So that's where systems and everything need to hold together in blue. And, like, it's going to be a tough game. Like, I don't mean that in the tone of voice I said it, but they're going to go for it. And, like, a team that's going to go for it will always be dangerous, especially when they're looking around. Leinster are going to be looking around going, am I over here or you over here, or what's the story? And then, like, an angry Geordie Barrett and an angry Snyman because someone's half a step behind, that will get in your head as well. So it's all about the blue side. The beef coming from South Africa, it is what it is. You know what I mean? They are who they are. They play who they are, and they're going to go for it. But, like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about bomb squads in terms of basically experience players coming off the bench. I mean, you don't get a whole lot more experience props anyway in Brock Harris and Franz Maherba for them. And they've got their starters. They've always got a strong back three. You've got Libach in there as well. I mean, he's had his issues, but he can do well. Evan Roos is a strong carrier, maybe a penalty magnet as well. That could go both ways. And Fury, of course, is the skipper. Very, very strong six there. So a lot of names there. They know they're not going to come just to make up the numbers. And I seem to say this every week anyway, but I think it is important with these two lineups that if Leinster are going to build a lead, they need to do it early and use every bit of that 6-2 split on the bench to bring it home. But it's definitely going to be a challenge. Like you say, we need the systems operating early. Hi, it's Jeff here, just interrupting the recording to point out there was a late change. The storm meant the Italian officials couldn't travel, so Owen Cross will be the referee. All the graphics and notes you see have been corrected. The weather for Dublin 4, well, it's different to what we're hearing outside right now. Anyway, at least that storm AO, and thank God will be gone by then. It's supposed to be partly cloudy and chilly. Winds up to maximum winds like 40 kilometers an hour, rain just 1%. I definitely take that compared to what's going on out there now on Monday evening. I think you might be right about people looking for somewhere to go. But now it's time to have a quick look at some of the other URC matches this weekend. What one other match stands out for you?
Well, I think it's a big day for Cooney this weekend. 150, is it? 150 for Ulster. And you kind of forget the shift he's done in Leinster, in Connacht, in Ireland. The caps that fella has, some would say maybe he obviously deserves more, but it's a big day for him up north there at home to Zebra. So I'll be watching that. And obviously Connacht, Glasgow, Connacht are my second team. And again, there's a good bit of momentum behind them as well. So hopefully it's a clean, let's say it. Hopefully it's a clean sweep for the Irish provinces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Connacht's match was pushed to Sunday, but it's got good that they get that one played. Yeah, a lot of big matches in the competition this weekend. Elsewhere in rugby, you've got the Celtic Challenge, of course, still going on. The Covers are also playing away to Glasgow Warriors. That's on Saturday at 1 p.m. No sign of that changing yet. That's live on the Irish Rugby Plus channel. And finally, in the 7 series, both Irish teams got off to a poor start in the latest leg in Perth, 2 defeats each for them. If that continues, they could be looking at relegation playoffs at the end of the season. But those games are always on Rugby Pass, free to watch on Rugby Pass at TV. Okay, so now it's head on the block time, Keego. How do you see it going at the Aviva on Saturday?
I knew you were going to ask. We're going to need a lot of noise from a packed stadium. I do think it's a Leinster win. I do think it will be there for us. But I don't think it's going to be. If it is massive, then it's a massive accomplishment. But I'm kind of thinking 5-7 points. I think Ross Byrne turns it around. I think the lads playing beside the World Cup winners play well. I think Charlie Taggart comes on to do a job. And I think, after a slowish start, I think we get into the game, and I think it gets to be a 5 to 7 point win.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking when the team came out. One name I'd like to see really put a standout performance is someone like Scott Penny. It's a really good, good time for him just to come out. He came off to a strong start in his Leinster career, scoring tries for fun, basically. But of course, injuries and stuff. It may not have been going well from the last year or two. So this is a good opportunity for him, for players like him in the squad to really step up and put their hand up. Okay, listen, we're going to leave it there, man. Many thanks for joining us. So what stand-up gigs have we got coming up?
So we've got January 30th in Greystones. We're nearly sold out there. And then the next big one is going to be in the Mill Theatre on March the 30th. But tickets aren't on sale yet. Just circle the date in your calendars.
Brilliant. Of course, you'll find all the links to get all his latest dates and where to buy tickets in the program notes. Okay, so listen, thanks to y'all for checking out our latest preview show. Be sure to enjoy the match wherever you are and leave a comment on our Facebook page after the full-time whistle. We will, of course, have a raw pod for you, which we'll record on Sunday night. Hopefully you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.